Now, Biden's plan to end the border crisis is basically working. Now, since President Joe Biden took office back in January 2021, the United States Border Patrol has had about 4.7 million encounters, with about 3 million individuals crossing along the southwest border. It's basically, you could call it a chaotic mess, but I really don't see it as that. Now, Border Patrol is usually overwhelmed trying to catch people that are illegal trying to cross in, and migrants are dying en route or perishing at the hands of smugglers and cartels, but that chaos is already on the decline. As President Biden's January 5th immigration actions were the first major step in decades to get everything under control. Now, President Biden announced that immigrants with U.S. sponsors from four major origin countries could apply to come legally to the United States in a status called humanitarian parole. And according to the January immigration figures that were released last week, President Biden's plan's already working. Back in December of last year, the last full month before humanitarian parole, Border Patrol had about 84,176 encounters with migrants from those four countries, which accounted for over 36% of all encounters that month at the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, in January, the number had already dropped to 11,909, which was an 86% decline. As a result, overall, the U.S.-Mexico border encounters are down 42%. Now, this was similar to the decline when it came to the Ukrainians fleeing the Russian invasion, and they showed up at the southwest border in spring of 2022 after a similar program was announced. Now, their numbers dropped from 20,118 in April of 2022 to 375 in May, which was a 98% reduction after the Uniting for Ukraine parole program allowed them to come directly from abroad with the U.S. sponsorship. The Ukrainian program was the model for Biden's Latin American humanitarian parole, and it's having similarly dramatic effects on improving border security as well. Now, President Biden's administration isn't solely responsible for that border, as he inherited a legal immigration system decimated by the former squatter Trump. Now, furthermore, the labor market has recovered from the pandemic with unemployment at a low rate of 3.5%, and private job openings reaching more than 9 million for much of his administration. On the other hand, it took President Biden's administration about a year and a half to fix the legal immigration system, and his administration sent mixed messages to the world about asylum and entry at the U.S. border. Now, on January 5th of 2023, it was a conceptual break from the past. President Biden's administration announced a plan framed as additional immigration enforcement, but its most important aspects expand to legal migration to the U.S. using a power that Congress gave presidents back in 1952, called humanitarian parole. Biden is allowing 30,000 immigrants from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti to legally come to the U.S. each month if they do the proper paperwork for like getting the green cards and everything like that. Now, the migrants must have a U.S. sponsor, and they have to meet health and security standards. Now, once they are here, they receive a 2-year residency permit, which could be extended, and they can apply for a work permit, but they have no access to public health benefits. Or they have no access to public benefits, but they could get health benefits maybe. If the numbers admitted under humanitarian parole are anything close to 30,000 people per month and the program lasts for the rest of his administration, this will be the single biggest immigration liberalization since the Immigration Act of 1965. Now, from a border security perspective, the goal of humanitarian parole is to incentivize migrants to apply from their home countries or neighboring countries and get prior approval to enter, and then they fly to the United States instead of paying smugglers to come to the border. Now, President Biden's plan also requires anyone caught entering illegally from these countries to be sent back to their country that they try to escape from. But this aspect of the plan is less important because of the new legal option. Critics of the plan miss the forest for the trees, and directly applying from their home countries means asylum seekers won't have to spend thousands of dollars on being smuggled to the border or walking through brutal terrain like the Darien Gap, all while trying to avoid criminals, cartels, and corrupt officials along the way. Now, still, humanitarian parole isn't perfect. The numbers need to be greater than 30,000 per month so residents of these countries aren't discouraged from applying. Latin American parolees need to have automatic work authorization without applying for a separate work permit known as EAD, or Employment Authorization Document. The Biden administration needs to reinstitute a $575 fee for each humanitarian parole application so the process doesn't strain U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, an agency that relies on fees to process immigrants. But most importantly, Biden's administration needs to extend humanitarian parole to every country south of Mexico with large numbers of migrants showing up at the border. Um, it can start with adding. They can start with adding Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Peru because they are the largest sending countries because those are the people that escape from those countries the most. Now, Biden's administration has turned a massive flow of illegal immigrants into a smaller flow of illegal. Okay, so basically, the Biden administration has turned a massive flow of illegal immigrants into a small flow of legal immigrants using a 71-year-old legal power granted to them by Congress. Migrants on humanitarian parole are legal migrants lawfully allowed to live and work in the United States. By extending humanitarian parole to other countries and increasing the numbers attaching work authorization to parole and reinstituting no more immigration fees, President Biden can be the first president to gain control of the border in generations. Now, if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you know when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a little as $3 a video, your donation can help go a long way. And thanks for listening.